Good morning. This morning we are in St George's Church in Gravesend, and we are here to visit the final resting place of Pocahontas. Pocahontas was the native Indian princess, and obviously Disney made films about her. She was only a young lady. It's a very small church, or it's a small churchyard. The church is kind of a reasonable size. Now obviously I'm not going to be able to show you the actual resting place of Pocahontas because that isn't exactly known. Well, it is known, but you're not able to actually get to it. But I'll show you what I can. But before we do that, let's have a little wander around while I tell you a little bit about Pocahontas. Pocahontas, also called Matoaka and Amanute, Christian name Rebecca, born circa 1596 near present-day Jamestown, Virginia, US. Died March 1617 in Gravesend in Kent, England. Powhatan woman who fostered peace between English colonists and Native Americans by befriending the settlers at the Jamestown colony in Virginia and eventually marrying one of them. Among her several native names, the one best known to the English was Pocahontas, translated at the time as Little Wanton or Mischievous One. She was a daughter of Powhatan, chief of the Powhatan Empire, which consisted of some 28 peoples of the Tidewater region. Pocahontas was a girl of age 10 or 11 when she first became acquainted with the colonists who settled in the Chesapeake Bay area in 1607. By the account of colonial leader John Smith, she interceded to save Smith's life in December of that year, after he had been taken prisoner by her father's men. Smith wrote that when he was brought before Powhatan, Pocahontas halted Smith's execution by placing herself over him as he was about to have his head clubbed on a stone. Powhatan released Smith to return to Jamestown. Some writers have theorized that Smith may have misunderstood what he saw and that what he believed to be an execution was instead a benign ceremony of some kind. Others have alleged that he invented the rescue outright. What is known is that Pocahontas became a frequent visitor to the settlement and a friend of Smith. Her playful nature made her a favourite, and her interest in the English proved valuable to them. She sometimes bought gifts of food from her father to relieve the hard-pressed settlers. She also saved the lives of Smith and other colonists in a trading party in January 1609 by warning them of an ambush. After Smith's return to England in late 1609, relationships between the settlers and Powhatan deteriorated. The English informed Pocahontas that Smith had died. She did not return to the colony for the next 4 years. In the spring of 1613, however, Sir Samuel Argall took her prisoner, hoping to use her to secure the return of some English prisoners and stolen English weapons and tools. Argall did so by conspiring with Japesius, the chief of the Potawatomi people, who lived among the Potomac River, and whom Pocahontas was visiting. Japesius and his wife lured Pocahontas into Argall's ship, where Argall kept her until he could take her to Jamestown. Although Pocahontas' father released 7 English prisoners, an impasse resulted when he did not return the weapons and tools and refused to negotiate further. Pocahontas was taken from Jamestown to a secondary English settlement known as Henricus. Treated with courtesy during her captivity, Pocahontas was converted to Christianity and was baptized Rebecca. She accepted a proposal of marriage from John Rolfe, a distinguished settler. Both the Virginia governor, Sir Thomas Dale, and Chief Powhatan agreed to the marriage, which took place in April 1614. Following the marriage, peace prevailed between the English and the Native Americans as long as Chief Powhatan lived. According to Powhatan tradition and the account of one colonist, Pocahontas had previously been married to a Powhatan man named Cocoom. In the spring of 1616, Pocahontas, her husband, their one-year-old son Thomas, and a group of Native Americans, men and women, sailed with Governor Dale to England. There was entertainment at royal festivities. The Virginia Company apparently saw her visit as a device to publicise the colony and to win support from King James I and investors. While preparing to return to America, Pocahontas fell ill, probably with an upper respiratory ailment, though some historians believe that she may have contracted smallpox or dysentery. Her illness took a turn for the worse and interrupted her return voyage before her ship left the River Thames. She died in the town of Gravesend at about age 21 and was buried there on March 21st, 1617. Afterward, her husband immediately returned to Virginia. Her son remained in England until 1635, when he went to Virginia and became a successful tobacco planter. Pocahontas has been an enduring image in American literature and art. From the early 19th century, the emphasis of her story shifted from Smith's description of his rescue to Pocahontas' relationship with Rolfe, a mixed marriage that provided a practical and metaphoric model for the beneficial possibilities of the blending of indigenous and colonial cultures. By the time of John Gatsby Chapman's painting of the baptism of Pocahontas for the Rotunda of the US Capitol in 1836-40, the benefits of the coupling of Rolfe and Pocahontas had become more contingent, predicated on her assimilationist acceptance of Christianity. In the journey from Simon van der Pass's 1616 engraving from life to her depiction in Chapman's painting, Pocahontas's features and skin tone were dramatically altered to more closely resemble European and European American concepts of human beauty. Over the years, Smith's mythic description of his rescue was increasingly accepted as history, and imaginative presentations of Pocahontas' story were often moulded into romances that sometimes focused as much on her relationship with Smith as in the Walt Disney Company's animated feature Pocahontas in 1995, as on her relationship with Rolfe. In the run-up to the American Civil War, according to cultural historian Robert P. Tilton, abolitionists claimed Pocahontas as a symbol of the possibility of racial harmony, while Southerners pointed to her and Rolfe as progenitors of Southern aristocracy who offered an alternative national foundation myth to the Northern version centered on the Pilgrims. Pocahontas even found a way into rock music. Canadian singer-songwriter Neil Young's penned Pocahontas from his album Rust Never Sleeps 1979 casts her as the object of male romantic desire situated in pristine, unspoiled America. Right, well, I don't know too much about Pocahontas. All the research I had to do was all new to me. I've never ever watched the animated film, the Disney film about her, because I can't stand animated films. But yeah, this church right behind me, apparently her resting place is directly under that, because there was a great fire here in the early 1700s, and the church that used to stand on this site was completely demolished. So this church right behind me was built on the same site, and apparently she is buried directly under the chancellery of this church. But the one thing I can show you is there is a statue dedicated to her, a kind of a monument to her in this churchyard, and it is literally right in front of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you around and we'll have a look at it together. Right, well, here it is. Pocahontas, 1595, which is only a rough estimation because I don't exactly know, to 1617. I don't know if there's anything else written on here anywhere. I'll have a quick look. No, it just appears it's all on one side. try and get a shot without that tree behind it. There we go. I'm sorry it's a bit dark. It is clearly Pocahontas in her Indian dress. Well, that's not a final resting place. A final resting place is right underneath that church. Well, there's the monument to Pocahontas. Well, there you go. There's a final resting place to Pocahontas. As I say, I don't really know too much about her at all. I know she was a young Indian girl that was captured by the English and brought to England, where she met the king, and she developed her illness. Unfortunately, they brought her ashore here, and this is where she died, and this is where she was laid to rest, in this church right behind me. Well, anyway, that is it for another one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you enjoy my content, then please maybe consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Right, as always, this is Darren saying bye bye from Gravesend in Kent, and I will see you on the next one. So until then, bye bye for now.